Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Kathy.
Um, so we're mixing it up a little today. We're going to do a current case. We're not going to go back to the 70s and 80s, but we are going to put our twist on it. We're going to talk about would all of this happen the same way in the when we were kids, not in the 70s and 80s? Would Mackenzie Shirilla in her current form exist?
And would our parents have reacted like her mother did?
Oh my goodness. So, Mackenzie Shirilla, it's we both watched the documentary The Crash. I actually watched The Crash with my daughter and we had much to talk about it because so this is another one. If you guys watched Abducted in Plain Sight, here's another one for you that's gonna kind of blow your mind. Anyway, so Vinny,
Hey,
what is your opinion of Mackenzie Shirilla before we even go into what happened?
that girl needs her ass beat. She's the biggest brat. She is the most entitled, spoiled brat I've ever seen, and her ego is so much bigger than her little body. But
Mm,
I would have just, mm,
right,
yeah.
right. So this is kind of the warm up, folks. This is what we're dealing with. And when the documentary starts, Mackenzie Shirilla is 17 years old. What she we I guess we can just say that she was convicted. So she was convicted of vehicular murder, uh, killing her boyfriend and her boyfriend's friend, because we'll get in. Did you see the mother's reaction to in court about the friend?
Yeah,
Uh,
she got first degree murder for the boyfriend and second degree for the friend that was kind of a new friend.
Davion.
Unfortunately, he was in the wrong car at
He,
the wrong time.
he was. So Dom, and this is terrible. You
I don't remember anyone's name, so you're doing better than me.
Dominic Russo was her boyfriend, 20 years old, and then the friend was Davion Flanagan. And he was 19. He actually just graduated, I believe, with her. They had just graduated from high school. Okay, so what we quickly learn, okay, the documentary is going to try, it starts off painting her in one light of like such a good person, everybody liked her. And as you're going through, you're seeing that she is super entitled. She's, as you, well, you had said it, we this is pre-talk, you might get it in our little bloopers, but Vin was saying that thinking she's a influencer or a
Yeah, she was all over social media. She little tiny body, wore hardly any clothes, acted like some big time influencer. She was living with her boyfriend,
Mhm.
17. Her mother was fine with this. That should tell you a lot right there.
Well, and I also have a theory on why they were fine with this, but um
They couldn't stand her, wanted her out of the
they
house.
probably could not put up with her tantrums, so they're like, just go.
I think the mom was afraid of her. I mean, I really do. It's like the mom was just trying to pacify her, like whatever she wants. Even in the courtroom, her mother was still making excuses for her. I mean,
100.
it was just,
So the setup of the timeline before the accident um was that they were at now she also has friends on the documentary who are highly defending everything. Of course, I watched a lot of I'm actually gonna throw out a podcaster I love, Annie Elise. She does serialistly and 10 to Life, and she's done a lot of podcasts since the court date, kind of revealing more of what's really going on. And I think she's great. So if you look up Annie Elise, she has a lot on the crash. But anyway, they are at it's a party, but the friends try. Rosie was the friend. She's trying to paint it as it was a sleepover. It's not a party. We're not doing any drinking or drugs. It's a sleepover. Um, but for whatever reason, now again, the friends are saying everybody got along great. There were no fights. There was nothing amiss going on. But they decide, so Dom, Mackenzie, and Davion decide to leave at 5 a.m. in the morning. So that's a little like you would think they'd be sleeping. You would think they would, or they would have left earlier. I don't know. But then again, they're young, so maybe
Like,
5 a.m.
who's up? I mean, obviously they stayed up all night because nobody's going to wake up
Well,
at that age at 5 a.m.
you could also argue that she was trying to pick a time when the roads would, there would be no one to see her plan.
Point.
Um, but they leave. This really, to me, the saddest part of the whole thing is that Davion wasn't even supposed to be going with them. He was supposed to be going with the other friend, Bubba, to work on Bubba's truck, I think. But then Davion said he wanted to go home and get a little bit of sleep and take a shower, and then he'd meet back up with them, is what Bubba is saying. I personally almost wonder if Davion went because Mackenzie and Dom were already fighting, and he was trying to play like,
Yeah, kind of like keep in between, keep it calm kind of thing.
because I have a feeling they all knew Mackenzie, right? They all knew she'd go off the handle because as you're getting to know her in the documentary, you know if she does not get her way, things do not go well, and she has no problem making a complete ass of herself to get what she wants. But on top of that, so to go back to before this event, there is tons of footage of her smoking pot in her car, smoking pot everywhere, uh, driving erratically. I mean, everything is there on social media. She put everything. I mean, she's her own worst enemy with social media.
Well, plus her boyfriend recorded a lot of their fights and was like uh calling his mom during, like, I believe there was one time they were in the car together and he had called his mom and was like, you got to get me out of this car, she's crazy, she's going to kill us both. You know, I mean, his mom knew and was really worried about the situation, so there was like actual um phone recordings of some of the crazy stuff she was saying to him and the stuff that he was trying, trying desperately to get away from her, but she
Right.
kept pulling him back.
Well, and yeah, because I think that you could not say no. I mean, that was her. But the other thing is that was another a crazy thing in the documentary is that the parents are talking about it like, well, sure, she was 17, but she was a very mature 17. Well, everything we see is raging immaturity. I really do feel that they just couldn't handle her, so they're like, okay, we'll let her go. I just realized I don't have my microphone. Um, hopefully you could hear me. Um, but I think that they just couldn't deal with her, so they kind of pawned her off on a 20-year-old who absolutely could not handle like what was going on.
Well, it's kind of like they were thinking, she's going to do it anyways, so let's just voluntarily allow her to.
Yeah, I
No
agree.
parental nothing. I mean, they just gave up on being parents.
And I think too that I mean, and again, we hope you watch it so you can talk with us some more. But and definitely feel free to send in questions about any of our podcasts if you want us to readdress something that you wanted to hear more about, because we'll happily do it. But it, I think too that they knew something was wrong and they could not get a diagnosis to help her, or she wasn't cooperating, or whatever the thing. I know they full well knew they were dealing with. I don't know if she was borderline personality or complete narcissism. I have no idea, but there's something.
Well, they probably knew they were going to have her involuntarily committed, and they did not want the responsibility of the guilt, I guess they would have felt for doing that, because they knew that she would probably have to be taken by force. She wouldn't voluntarily go. She doesn't think there's anything wrong with her. She's perfect.
Well, and interestingly that you say that, and again, we are jumping around, but everybody seems to follow our gossipy stories. Yeah, we like to they well, okay, no, I'll go back to that because let's get through. So they leave the party. She ends up going a route that she normally didn't go. And from what I don't think this was mentioned in the documentary, but I had read about it. It was like a what do you call those park, like where it's just all commercial buildings?
Industrial park.
Yeah, it was like an industrial park. So there was no reason. I mean, it wasn't like where she would be going. But they actually, so when you're watching the video, and it's quite shocking, they have the CCTV or CCTV um, footage of she turns a corner, she's driving fine.
She uses her blinker and she slows down. She turns normally, perfectly fine. And then,
Oh my gosh. Then watching that footage of just the car going past those cameras is insane. I mean, it is the judge called her hell on wheels, and she was hell on wheels. I mean, so she was suddenly from that very responsible turn was suddenly going uh 90 to 100
well,
miles.
they were saying 99. I think they had her clocked at something like that,
Right.
right at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
She also, one of the guys, I think not her boyfriend, the other one, what was his name again?
Davion.
Davion. If I'm not mistaken, he had one of those apps on his phone that all his friends had where it kind of let them help each other, keep an eye on each other for safety, like how fast are you driving, where are you going? And it showed up on that his friend's app that all of a sudden the vehicle he was in was going 99 miles an hour. That's how they know exactly how much, what
And I
speed she was
applaud
going.
those friends because I think it was two friends. They actually went into the police.
Yeah, they showed the police that. They were just like, something's off here, really off.
So you see this footage, and it's just that alone is shocking to see how fast that is going past the camera. But then on the last one, the car goes out of sight, and you hear a crash. You hear a
Well, you can see part of it, but it's mostly just, I mean,
yeah,
not it's not so much an explosion, but there is some sparks and there's just crazy, obviously a massive, massive accident, just an explosion of an accident is what you see.
exactly. And then so she just ran into the side of a industrial building, so a brick
Yeah.
wall. Ran into
Didn't slow down, nothing, just went from whatever speed, practically 0 to 100 in a very, very short amount of time, and just headed straight for a building.
a
Didn't turn, didn't brake.
And that's one of the things I thought that that investigator they brought in was fascinating because he's like, we looked at everything. I mean, at one point they talked about, so anyway, well, let's go back. So the crash happens and there is actually a pretty quick call in. So somebody heard it. Oh no,
It
was it
must have it must have still taken them a while to get there, because the officer that got there first, when he was trying to look past the airbags, to see who was in there, he said it looks like they've been here a while. So it must have been a little while before they even got out there.
okay. Now Dominic and Davion were pronounced dead on this on site. And Mackenzie was described as wedged under the dashboard, but she was alive.
Yeah, they had to get the jaws of life to get her out. She was conscious. I don't know if she, I mean, I don't know if she was conscious. She was breathing. She was trapped up under there, but it seemed like in one part when they were getting her out, she screamed or something.
Yeah, I think she did.
Because she had like then she had like broken legs, broken arms, something like that. I mean, she was,
I mean, she was definitely beat up. I mean, she was lucky to be alive, which becomes kind of a bone of contention and why this could not be intentional. And yeah, they actually had to life flight her too. So she was severely injured. How would you not?
didn't she have her seatbelt on, but the two boys didn't.
And yes, and actually that is something that and it might have been Annie Elise, the one telling you about, went through her videos of her driving when she was smoking and when she was speeding before this, and she never has her seatbelt on ever. And obviously that was kind of a thing with them, right? Because Dom and Davion didn't have their seatbelts on. So was this,
Well, some of them were thinking maybe the guys took their seatbelts off because they were trying to get out. They were wanting to get out.
although I guess it was an established fact that Mackenzie was too cool for seatbelts. So it was a little convenient that she did have a seatbelt on, and that sort of ties into something else, which uh there is some proof from her GPS on her or her black box, which hey, I didn't even know cars had black boxes. Like I had no idea. So in the black box, we'll go back. The detective who they get on to the case to try to decide if this was truly an accident or what happened, because they just wanted an answer. Did the car malfunction? What happened? Uh, he, of course, went through the black box. That's where they found out there was no braking, no slowing down. They could see that there was interference with the wheel and the wheel jerked, which, of course, nobody knows because we'll get to her. But they speculate that that could have been one of the boys trying to take control of the wheel or trying to wrestle this to a stop, but they don't know for sure. Um, they went in, they investigated the whole thing to make sure whether the car had no malfunction. It did not. They even had, there was even a slipper. Her slipper was under wedged under the brake, but they deduced that that happened from the impact of the hit, not that it was already there. Like they could tell somehow that that didn't interfere with. So everything seems to lean toward this. There was no reason this happened other than the driver. I wouldn't even say driver error because I don't think that was
Driver purpose.
the right driver purpose. Um, the other thing I found interesting was when you look at the car crash, she didn't drive exactly straight into the wall. She definitely hit their side. You can see their side is of the car is just
Yeah.
demolished. I mean, just it doesn't even look like a car. It's just
Mm.
frame and burnt and um so at first, except for Dom's mother, who clearly had been dealing with, getting those calls from Dom about Mackenzie's behavior, but Mackenzie had obviously played a good game with the sisters and the dad, that she was not all the endless fighting drama. Right, she was loony. Um, but I think the mom had a much clearer picture. Um, but even at the beginning, they all wanted, I mean, they wanted to believe this had to have been an accident. I mean, she was injured too. So, and I love that. I don't know. And again, we're not 100% sure we watched the same documentary, but I
I,
saw. But did the friend who kept saying she wouldn't even eat a McChicken sandwich with me, she would never kill herself. She loved herself too much. And I'm thinking, there's the actual point of this story right there. She loves herself too much. But I think she was mad and she is so going to get her own way that it was worth risking her own life to punish him. And I think honestly, Davion was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't even think she factors to this day. I don't think she factors him in.
she didn't even care. I mean, she just wanted to get revenge or for whatever, for nothing on the boyfriend because he had kicked her out. I don't know how many times, but I know he kicked her out, and then she was because he had this on a like recording with his phone. She was yelling and screaming, telling him that she's going to like break in, that he can't kick her out. He needs to open the door now. I mean, she just sounded so evil. And it was like, she was pissed off that he kicked her out of his. She's like, you can't lock me out of my house. He's like, this is my house. This is my
Well, and then
house.
him saying, "You broke up with me,"
Yeah,
and
exactly. She broke up with him. He
he
told
didn't.
her to get out, and then she's mad and she's back at his door, banging on the door,
And
threatening
how
him.
she was talking to him, she's like, "I'm gonna count to three, and you're gonna open this door." And it's like, what is she doing? And then when it doesn't happen, the name calling starts and the berating him. And to be fair, I mean, he knew he was recording. so he comes across very calm. We don't know if that was always, but I do think that he knew flipping out at her was just going to escalate everything even more. So, um,
Well, plus she was always threatening harm to him and herself. So I'm sure he didn't want to feel like, because he was young too. I mean, he didn't want to feel like he was going to do something to push her over the edge and do something to herself that he's going to have to live with. He also didn't want her like setting fire to his house or something because she's crazy. So I'm sure he was trying to de escalate, but at the same time, he didn't want her in the house. He wanted to be done with it. But
and
I'm
she,
sure, yeah, but she didn't think anything about the other guy. It was just about her and her obsession with she's mad at her boyfriend.
well, and in the uh in the documentary, the parents are crazy. We're going to get to the parents. They have enabled this girl so much that and it still continues. I will go into that. In the documentary, I mean, the parents are delusional. Uh, really, Dominic's family, other than the mom, who for whatever reason they kept out of the video, which I thought was really interesting because I will go into things I've watched about her. Uh, I think maybe the documentary was trying to leave it so you could make up your own mind because they didn't sugarcoat everything, but they certainly didn't give all the information. But
Did watch a different one than you because the only person I saw from his family was the mom in court. I didn't see or hear anything from anyone else. So I'm pretty sure we watched different.
okay. Well, the one that if you guys are looking, you can find them on YouTube, but also if you want to watch the one that I had watched, it's on Netflix. So um but and they really do kind of downplay some of the like they left out a lot, I think. So I don't even think they have they did. But in this one, it was the sister and the dad who um talk. And they do have Davion's parents. And
Yeah, I did see quite a bit with them. They were speaking quite a bit.
well, and the father and those parents are exactly what you would hope parents would be. Like even in their grief, they are being so like realizing that Mackenzie's 17-year-old, realizing like they're trying to say like we just want the truth. We can move on if you tell us the truth. But of course we don't get any chance at the truth because Mackenzie makes it obviously through the crash and promptly claims that she has amnesia and doesn't remember everything. But not only does she not remember anything, she doesn't remember anything from leaving the house.
Total blackout.
Yeah, because
No memory at all. I know they found drugs in her car, but I don't know. I don't think she was actually under the influence of anything at that time.
no, she did show up for THC,
Just
but
a little bit.
right,
Yeah.
that would be in her system even if she did it. Because they did find mushrooms.
Yeah, they found mushrooms
They
and
did find a scale, which I thought was really interesting because I have to say the documentary I was watching, they went into like how much money Dom had, and they said he was doing cryptocurrency and blah blah blah, which he may very well have been doing. But the whole time I'm like, they're dealing drugs. They're dealing drugs. You can't be the age they are and living like they're living because he was buying her designer clothes. He was, you know. So anyway, that I think that has come out to be true that but that she claims that Dom was selling drugs and she was essentially his mule because he said she wouldn't go to prison if she got pulled over, but she was,
right.
she was right out there selling them too, and she loved the money. So
Selling them and doing it. Yeah, I mean her Instagram stuff, all the clothes she was wearing ridiculously expensive. She was living like an influencer. I mean, going to concerts, always documenting eating out at fancy places. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like she is 17 years old.
just a second. Come here.
Kathy's got to crawl under her desk to get her dog eat.
This is my bossy bratty
It's
baby.
Remy. It's Remy.
All right, so they're living a pretty decent life. They're doing better than I am. And but they so again the parents, the Dom's father and sister, they were like, at first we were like, well, she was in the accident too. She must be so devastated. This was her soulmate. They were still on the. Now, I don't think the mother, well, I know the mother didn't because I will get to that. I don't know if it was in your documentary, but well, you only saw her in court. Um, but then you get to Mackenzie's parents. And as we've said, they've already defended their child living with Dom at 17. Because,
Now, did your documentary show the dad? Because I only saw her mom in court. That was it.
oh no, they have the interview. In fact, on the Netflix one, the father is wearing a t-shirt that says boom. I mean, talk about tone deaf. I don't even know what that was. I'm like, what is this t-shirt when you're trying to say that your daughter did not intentionally do this and you're wearing a t-shirt that says boom with like it's almost like the how they used to have the graphics on like Batman, with the looks like that. And I'm like, this is so bizarre. But then they tell stories on this about how like she got in trouble at school, but they knew she didn't do it because she was such a kind person. And he went to the school and she was in the office sobbing. And he said to her, "Did you do it?" And she said, "No, Daddy." And he said, "Well, good enough for me." And there was no punishment because she didn't do anything wrong. Now, when you watch the things that have come out later, people who actually went to school with her and whatever, that she was a bully. You could see she was a bully without her opening her mouth. I mean, I hate to say
Was
that, but
such a brat. Oh my God, she was a brat.
you could just see it in everything she did. It was so evident. But the parents have totally fostered this. They have totally convinced her. Well, I'll get into some. I mean, if you think her mom was crazy, wait till you hear stuff. Because they have the uh, Freedom of Information Act, so you can hear their prison phone calls. They're unbelievable. I mean, her mom is just cheering her on in prison. Like she's just they don't care. None of them care that these two boys lost their life. They
Yeah, they don't. Now
uh,
I know in the one I watched, she got 15 years. Did that stand? I'm sure they were fighting it.
yes, there's no appeals that have gone through. It still stands. Although, in one of her conversations, her mother tells her that their story has made it to England. It's in the Daily Mail, and they're giggling away like this is some positive thing. And then Mackenzie, being the delusional person that she is, she's like, well, maybe Kim Kardashian will come in and defend me because Kim Kardashian has worked with people who are, you know, possibly unjust.
Yeah, she got her bar light. She passed the bar thing.
Yeah, and she works with like the I don't think she works with the Innocence Project, but she does that sort of people who are wrongfully convicted.
I'm pretty positive she's not going to get anywhere near that little brat.
She would be crazy too. She would be crazy too. But I mean, we'll get to it. But anyway, so she claims she has no memory of anything that happened from leaving the party. And she's telling the parents, I would love to tell you, I want to tell you, I feel so bad. You don't see any signs of feeling bad. Even in the hospital, she gets contacted by some modeling thing or some kind of like
Yeah, her mom was pushing her with some modeling thing, and they were
and
still.
and they were doing answering those while she was still in the hospital. This is brand new, and she's like, I would love to work with you, and she wanted some kind of brand deal or something she was getting. I mean, they just don't care. They do not care. So finally, this detective gathers enough to say this needs to go to trial, and it does. Now, interestingly, she chooses a bench trial. I've heard some arguments that this was really bad for her and she should have had a jury trial. I personally think that they just look at her and think what we all think. So I think they probably thought she didn't stand a chance with a jury trial.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, she actually did the right thing, because if she got a jury of her peers, oh my God. Oh my God. And they got to hear the way she was talking to her boyfriend and the way she was acting and seeing her Instagram posts and her just her attitude, they would
The
have put
way
her under the prison.
and the way she talks to her parents. I mean, they had footage, or they had some like people from the hospital talking about how she talked to her parents while she was in the hospital. And at one point, the police or somebody brought back her purse and it had $165 in it or something. So they handed it to the mother saying, I don't know if you want to keep this separate. And she starts screaming, that's my money. That better come back to me. And like, this is what you're thinking about when A, you're injured, and B, you've just killed supposedly the person you love more than anything and a good friend.
Your soulmate and an innocent guy that just wanted to go home and go to sleep.
Right. And so, I mean, she's appalling. She's appalling. And she gets more appalling in prison. I know
Oh,
this can't come as it's probably not a big surprise, but one thing that really bothered me was when they had the police at the uh hospital, and I don't know if you had this one, but in the documentary I watched, the police are there and they're actually recording, giving Mackenzie's parents the news. And they're just like, okay, all right. Uh, okay, it was Dom. Oh God, it was Dom. And they're finding out Mackenzie's, hurt but stable or whatever. And then they show, which they did not, I watched this online. Uh, then they show the mother, Dom's mother, being told. She literally collapses to the ground. She's screaming, and the first thing you hear her say is, what did she do? So she knew right from the get-go that if her son was dead, it was Mackenzie. Like, what did she do?
yeah.
And that's so it was really interesting. And the one I watched, they sort of glossed over that the mother was not talking to Mackenzie right from Dom's death, but the father, and I take it the mom and the dad are divorced. So the father and the sister were talking to her and being supportive and telling her that they, same thing. They just wanted answers and they knew she was devastated and blah, 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 which of course she's not devastated, not even a little bit. Um,
Now, did you see the part? This part just blew me away. I mean, the mom of the girl that I don't know if it was in court or when they were doing the investigation or whatever, but I think it was when she was in court. Did you see where she was talking about making an excuse as to why she doesn't remember because she had episodes where she would black out?
yeah,
Now
she
I have that condition where I will black out, but I can drive perfectly fine because it's not that kind of blacking out. It has to have a whole bunch of other environmental things. But she was telling them, well, sometimes when she stands up, she blacks out. I'm like, there's a hell of a lot of people in the world that stand up and feel lightheaded, and that's basically what she was saying. Oh yeah, she has a history of blacking out, and I think it was in court, and the judge, I believe, is the one that said to her, you signed a paper allowing her to get her license at under 18, knowing that she had this condition. And she's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's never been a problem before. And the judge is trying to explain to her, you're trying to use this as an excuse as to why she killed two people, and yet you're trying to also say, I didn't see any problem with it, so I went ahead and signed papers to allow her to get her driver's license without reporting that she had a medical condition that might have made her black out.
well, and
And the
here
car, and plus, she went from when she turned that corner perfectly to hitting the building. There was no swerving. That she wasn't all over the place. She stayed on the road. She kept the curve and everything. It's not like she blacked out immediately.
Well, and she claimed it was POTS. And actually I have a friend who was just diagnosed with POTS, and it is like uh you have to be standing, you have to be moving. If you're laying down, that's when, or seated, that's when you're okay. It's your heart suddenly speeding up and your blood pressure dropping and
Yeah, it's similar to what I've got, but a little bit different. But yeah, Actually, I've only had one condition when I was sitting when that was starting to happen, and I just pulled over. I mean, it's not like you just instantly you're aware of what's going on and you can feel it coming on, and you've usually got quite a while before you need to just, you just got to the heat and stuff like that.
Well, and the other thing is, and again, this is stuff I found out, and it is actually recorded, and it is actually discussed by the mother, so it's true. Uh, that wasn't even a topic of discussion, the medical condition, until, and I don't know if your documentary told you this, but the one on Netflix does not. They speak gibberish.
Yes, I was going to ask you when the police came to interview her, and she was. They said it. Oops, they said they weren't sure if it was Pig Latin or what it was, but they had their own language. It was just but I think it might have been similar to Pig Latin. And she was asking her mom, "Can't we just tell them that I blacked out and I don't remember anything?"
And her mom said, yes, we'll tell them that. And the funny thing is, they didn't think that they could figure out, like, break down what they were saying, that they couldn't have that analyzed. And so, yes, they have proof that that was just thrown out there as a defense while they were being interviewed. Um, they also they do the gibberish, as they call it, on their on their uh, jail calls, which I think is funny because they've already been proven once that it can be deciphered. So why are they still thinking
They
that
are so ignorant. They're just in their own little world.
they are? They are. I mean, her mom still thinks that, I mean, her mom on these jail calls, and I highly recommend, you can find them everywhere on YouTube. These jail calls are mind-boggling because she will actually sit there and say, these families are evil. Are you joking? These grieving families who just want to understand why this happened are evil because they care, because they want answers, because they do want Mackenzie to, you know, pay the price of, and, she clearly did love herself intensely, but I think she loved her own way more. So
Yeah.
I think, and I also think she was a person who snaps. That would be okay, except for, again, they said they have proven from the black box that she had ridden that route a couple times for no, almost like she was trying to figure out where, if she did do it, it would take a while to get help, people wouldn't see it. So I mean, she wasn't going to let him go. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could argue, there's the cases of family annihilators who kill their whole family and then themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're usually narcissists, and somebody like that, it's better to go yourself than lose. Like, I
Well,
think,
it's one of those if I can't have you, nobody else can.
right.
That kind of thing. And the young man that was with them, he was just collateral damage. She didn't even care. He just, the fact that he wanted to come with them, I'm sure she's thinking this was going to be perfect, and I'm not going to let you stop me from doing what I'm going to do. So you can just go along with it too.
Yep.
What happens happens. She just did not care.
Nope. And she absolutely, I mean, again, if you listen to the phone conversations, she's more worried about her commissary. She's more worried about that she doesn't like the neighbor in the next cell because they're noisy at night. And her mom is literally on these phone calls saying, I know, it's just terrible. What's wrong with these people? What is wrong with your kid? Stop asking what is wrong with everyone else. But they are just buckling down even further that she is not guilty and that she cares so much. And I'm like, you guys don't care. She doesn't care, and you guys don't care either.
Well,
Um,
plus she got 15. Now, I believe the judge said 15 to life, but I think after 15 years, she can be released if she's not had any other issues. I don't know if that's actually going to work. But then what really made everyone so upset was she got 15 years for each of the young men, but it was to be served consecutive. So 15 years counts for both of them,
yeah, which,
which is ridiculous. I mean, she truly should have got, I think, at least 25.
well, and it's okay. I don't know if you caught that the judge said to her, you will get 15 years. you could get life, and I don't believe you'll be out anytime soon. And I think this judge is 100% right because she can't follow the rules. She already has something like 25 write-ups.
I was going to ask you what's going on with her in prison because I
Oh,
didn't see anything past where she got sentenced, and
right.
she was just like shocked that she was going to be held responsible and have
Well,
kind of circumstances to deal
did
with.
they do the interview with it? So they didn't interview her because in the one on Netflix, they interview her in prison.
No, they didn't. I didn't see that.
That's chilling because she's doing poor baby girl type face, but it's just not there. Like there's nothing there. And at one point, she stops the interview and she turns to her lawyer and she's like, "Is this coming across okay? Because I don't want to blah blah blah." I mean, it's just so much like machination of like, I'm gonna get away with this. I'm gonna look so sincere. But then it is interesting that Netflix did keep that in because they were hinting, but they didn't really vilify her. But I mean, they kind of did, but they really downplayed it. And they did show a lot of the parents, and the parents are just delusional and they're just a hot mess. I mean, the father was going on and on about how, yeah, they knew she smoked pot and they knew she drove, but it's better than drinking. And all these other people, like legal people, are like, okay, well, she's operating a motor vehicle under the influence, but also she's underage. She is illegal to be smoking. It might be legal in your state. She's not legal.
Not at 17.
We've kind of hit on most stuff, but here's, I guess, our Gen X, our Gen Hex twist. Would this person have existed when we were growing up? Now, we know that if there's mental illness, that's always been there. We know that. But I can tell you right now, A, my parents were not going to ever let me live with my boyfriend at 17. I don't care how bad I was. The smoking pot, obviously, we were in a different time period where that was illegal, but that would have been you're not leaving the house for, you know, till you're 21. And if I had killed somebody in a car, I know for a fact they would have been like, well, you did this, whether it was an accident or not, and there's ramifications for killing somebody. I mean, and I'd love to hear other Gen Xers talk about this. Also, I think, and this is just a theory I have, that her identity of what she was portraying on social media was so important to her that she would kill. It was not going to fly that she got dumped by her boyfriend on social media. That was not going to fly. But if her boyfriend died in a horrible accident that could not be helped, that
And
was
she survived. Yeah, the one thing she was saying was, I can't die. They all died, but I didn't because I can't die.
mm,
It's crazy. Yeah, if something like that with my situation, that would have been really crazy. My with my mom being Jehovah's Witness, first of all, I never smoked pot, and if I had, I would have been kicked out of the house because they did that to my sister when she was 16. Disowned her. My mother completely disowned her. So that wouldn't even have been a subject to talk about. If I had done something like this, my parents, well, my mother would have disowned me. My father, I don't know. My father probably would have came to see me in prison, but I would have been on my own. Basically, it would have been
yeah.
like, you made your bed, you lay in it all by yourself because you did this.
Well, 100%. And they're like they are giving her tons of commissary money. They are, she has an iPad. She's talking to, I mean, she's sugar babying herself as a prisoner. I mean, at one point, she is on the phone telling her mother that a 43-year-old man is contacting her, and they're giggling about it like schoolgirls. And she's like, I'm going to answer him, and da 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 da. And the only concern the mother has is not, this guy's a creep. What are you doing? Why are you entertaining this? I don't care. Her mom's like, well, don't say anything about the case because he might be a journalist posing as whatever. And I'm like, this is your only concern. And they really believe that she's going to get an appeal and get out. They really do.
With them, it's all about saving face. That's all it is. It's about what kind of successful life in social media and in the public that she's going to have when she gets out, as if she's going to have any. What she doesn't understand is, even if she gets out in 15 years, all of these people that were her so-called friends, by this time they're going to be married, they're going to have children, they're going to have families. They're not going to want to be anywhere near this crazy chick that just spent 15 years in prison. They're not going to still, most of them now, probably most of them, are probably not going to still be in the party stage. You know, they're not going to still be doing all the drugs and drinking and stuff. They're going to have families, and she is going to be completely out. So she's going to hang out with a bunch of 17-year-olds because that's basically where she stopped.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be very surprised, but I really hope she doesn't get out until she's like 40.
Well,
That would be good.
on the track she's on, I mean, what? So she was sentenced. The accident happened in 2022. She was sentenced in August of 2023. And so she's been in prison. I guess we are going on 2 years now, but at the time that this person was talking, she had been there for a year and she had 25 write-ups. Uh,
She doesn't know how to conform, and in prison, you conform.
well, and she actually at one point says to her mother, well, I mean, I am the prettiest person in prison. This is what she's still thinking about. She's not thinking about she's in prison. It's just another game of high school for her right now. Like,
Mm.
who can I win over? Who can I? Apparently, she's had a couple girlfriends because those are the people who are gonna stroke her ego, but also protect her. And I mean, uh, she's she's unbelievable. And the fact that her mother is just catering to this, her mother looks like the biggest idiot known to man. I'm so
Well, plus, I'm sure having her parents giving her all the money she needs in prison is helping her buy some kind of protection. Because does she still look like she weighs 90 pounds?
no, she has put on some weight.
Has she? I mean, she was like my kid's size. You know, she was tiny.
Yeah, not a not a ton, but she definitely looks. But she's definitely doing her hairstyles and stuff to fit into prison life. But she's still trying to look like trying to look like a prison influencer. That's what she's trying to look like. Um,
Orange is the new black, I guess. I swear she didn't understand this because in her brain she thought she was so mature. She looked like physically a 10-year-old. She looked like a child. She did not look like a woman. She certainly didn't act like one. She acted like a child. She looked like a child. So I don't know.
but yeah, so this is the story of the crash. And like I said, there is tons out there you can find. And if you listen to those phone conversations, you will understand totally how she came to pass or come to exist because her mother, I listened to a podcaster that said, is indulgence child abuse? And it's like this, in this case, their indulgence of her was 100. They've made her a non-functioning human
Yeah,
being.
they created a monster. Now, do they have other kids?
She has a sister that no one talks about at all. So I,
At least she's normal.
right. I think she was probably the easy kid and they could ignore her. I think that Mackenzie was just always demanding, always in trouble. So she got all the attention.
I wonder too with her other sister because I know how some parents can be. I've seen it myself where they have one child, like their first child, and that child may not have been what they had hoped for. That child, especially if it's a female, the mother might have been hoping for one of these little perfect children they can put in the pageants, and their child may have been a little chunky, maybe not sporty, maybe not what they consider pretty. And they literally will judge that child by their appearance. And then the next child comes around and the next child's perfect. This girl was small. She was tiny. She was petite. She was into all the girly stuff. Maybe her mother was kind of living vicariously through her because that's what she wanted for
She's
her life.
she's living vicariously through this girl who is in prison, and she's still living vicariously through her. It's insanity. And her dad, I can't read the dad. I can't decide if the dad is so beaten down by the two of them being crazy that he's just going along with it, or if he's just as nuts as they are. I don't know. But the one thing that I thought was a really chilling statement was, so to go into Davion a little bit, because he's been so lost in all this. I mean, he was a football, sounds like he was a pretty big football star. He did get injured, I think, and that's why he was no longer on the football team, which was really disappointing to him. He was going to go to, he had just graduated. He was going to go to barber college, or
Yeah, he wanted to be a barber and open like a shop and stuff.
but and I think his parents were concerned because he was always into sports. So now he didn't have that. He was starting to hang out with a group they weren't crazy about, which was Dom and all that crew. And probably it was Strongsville, Ohio, is where this all took place. I've been to Strongsville, Ohio. I actually went to a writing conference there. But you know, I'm sure it was they were already known around town, all those kids, that they were not doing the best stuff. So anyway, I think without the dad, uh, Davion's dad being a jerk about it, he was just trying to talk to his son about the choices he was making for friends. But one of the things he said in this documentary, he said that before he went out that day, he said, the people that you hang around with are the people who are going to show you who you are in the future. And then that night, he's killed.
Now that, not that it minimalizes their being his parents, but I do know that they were talking about they had adopted him and his two siblings when they were quite young, and
Mm.
they took all three of them in. And I think those are the only children they had. So, like I said, not to minimalize, they were his parents, but I'm just saying that he was also adopted, and they
Well,
were so excited and happy to have all three of them.
and actually, my daughter Emily and I were talking about the fact that that's a very telling thing about them as parents, is because it also sounds like they did not come from an easy situation. And they became a real grounding force. They took them and kept them all together. They've obviously done really well and wanted to be these parents, but they're just like polar opposites. To watch these parents, it's like here you have these super responsible, super, they were raising children who are going to be good citizens.
Yeah.
And those weren't even their biological children. And then you have these people who are just nutbags who should be, I mean,
The girl, if you guys watch the original Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you know which one she was. I want it now. What was that? Veruca Salt? Was that her name?
yep, Veruca with a V, Veruca Salt.
Veruca Salt. That's who this little brat is. She is
Oh,
her.
yep. Yep. And it's a fascinating story. But so to go back to, would this happen, and maybe it would have happened in our generation. I mean, it could have happened, but I don't think I just don't think she could have been created into this delusional state, because I really feel like social media, with the combination of her parents indulging her, because she just was feeding her ego nonstop, and she had decided she was this thing that she wasn't. But she had decided she was this influencer who had everything, and you can't lose Dom on top of that, because is she going to have all the same stuff that he was helping her
Well,
get?
plus he gave her more status. He was older. He was nice looking. He had his own place. He had his own. I think she had her own car too. But I mean, he was a mature guy, and here she was just a kid, and he gave her status.
Mhm.
And you're right. I mean, back in the day, yes, you might have had your typical popular jock in school that everybody knew, and they might have known him in different smaller towns, and that's the extent of his popularity. And this might have happened in a similar situation, but with the internet, people are getting such a dopamine hit for every like and every comment, and everyone that sees them and every one of their followers, they feed off of it, and it makes them feel like they're superior and that they're famous and that everybody wants them, everybody loves them, everybody's jealous of them, obviously, and it creates these crazy monsters. There's no substance to these people at all. There's nothing there. I mean, look at her in prison. She's not, educating herself. She's not trying to do better. She's not taking classes. She's
And
still trying to be an influencer.
she's not even saying like I am sad. I'm there's nothing, there's no emotion there. There
She,
really
she
isn't.
may be just a sociopath.
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so I just think that parents wouldn't have been as we certainly weren't going to be indulged into you're this was wrong. I mean, yeah, I guess in every generation there was a type of parent that did that, but I don't think the majority of parents that we grew up with would have been like, no, you're going to pay the price of this. Um, and they might think that you got a raw deal. They might tell you got a raw deal, but guess what? This is the outcome. Work.
It's your deal, and you're going to suck it up and you're going to deal with it.
Yeah,
Walk it off.
walk it off in the cell yard or what.
Walk it off in prison. And while you're there, why don't you educate yourself? She could have been taking some stuff on helping her mental health, but she doesn't think
Oh,
there's
oh,
anything wrong with her.
that's another thing. Something came in. Somebody, her mother was reading or something, and the person was saying that she needs to pursue therapy in prison. And she literally is like, why would I do that? There's nothing wrong with me. And the mother is like, right, right. Isn't that crazy? Like, she's just her little lackey. Like, I'm sorry. My parents would have absolutely said, well, even if you don't think there's anything wrong with you, there might be something for you to get from this. And I think you better do it if you want to see the outside of prison ever. But also, I don't even think they would have said that. I would think they would have said, do it and get your act together. And I mean, insanity. I mean, this is an insane case. So we welcome you all. You have to watch this one. I feel like we should always give a heads up beforehand so people can watch it before. But again, this was kind of an impulse one because I had just watched it and I was like, oh, Ben, you got to see this. This is crazy.
Well, I did mention it on Facebook, so I think some of them are going to be watching it, and some of them have already watched it, so they're looking forward to
Yeah,
this.
and well, and if there's anything we miss that you think needs to be brought up, because there's a lot of information in this, and there's a lot of still coming in information because she's not slowing down. Her bad behavior is continuing.
Now,
So
one thing I don't understand, and maybe the viewers can help me out with this because I don't get it. What the hell is an influencer? What is their job? What are they? Are they literally just here to have a company give them some expensive handbag and they walk around with it, or sunglasses, and because they spend all this money and they get all this free stuff, they have a certain look and everybody wants to be like them? Is that what influencer? I mean, to me personally, if I had, a million followers and I was considered an influencer, I would want to influence people with what I do anyways, stay upbeat, try to be positive, have some good vibes, laugh, try to look on the bright side. That to me, that's influencing people's lives. Wearing shit that somebody gave you, that's not influencing you. That's making you a consumer, wanting you to buy stuff you can't afford so that you can look like this other person. Why would you want to look like that other person?
well,
How is that influencing people? I don't understand that concept. I hate it. I hate it so bad.
they're basically pimping brands for people. That's basically
They're just living commercials. That's all that they should not be allowed to use the word influencers. They just shouldn't.
Mhm.
They think they're life coaches and stuff. It's like, why? Because of what you're wearing? I wouldn't be caught dead wearing some of that stuff. It's ugly. You look stupid. Take it off. Nobody wants to see that.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah. there she is. We've just gone through Shirilla the Killa. And the fact that that is actually her nickname in prison and she seems to enjoy it. Again, if you really killed the person that you love more than anything, I don't think being called that, I think you'd be in tears and feeling like crap and fighting with people that you don't want that name. But no, I think she embraces it. And
Well, she's got a title. It gives her importance now. She's got oh, what do you call it? Well, she doesn't have influence, but what is it called when somebody's committed a crime and they're serving time? They've got
street cred.
do what?
Like street cred.
That's it. That's it. She's got street cred now. She's literally a murderer.
Mhm.
And she's got a nickname, so now she's got street cred. I'm sure when she gets out, she might be 50 when she gets out, but she'll be on Instagram calling herself that. She's going to be a 50-year-old on OnlyFans. That's the only way she's going to make any money. And then again, I wouldn't pay anything to see that.
Well, and also, that's the other thing. There is some talk that she was on OnlyFans, but that she was also earning money in very dubious ways, which I think also her parents might have known about, and they were just letting her run amok. I mean, they were just.
Well, they were showing the way she was dressing. She wasn't dressing. She was out and about with nothing, basically nothing on. It's like, this is a child. I mean, I was going to say they shouldn't let her leave the house, but she wasn't living with them anyways. She looked like she should have been on a street corner. I mean, she was literally wearing like just a little, like a little piece of net across the top and a little piece of satin across the bottom that just barely was legal. So I don't know
Well,
what she was doing.
again, I would just think, if nothing else, if you don't want to be critical and you want to say that you should be able to dress however you want, you would think her parents would at least be concerned that something could happen because it's not an ideal world where
Well,
you.
I mean, it doesn't matter what anybody wears. Like you said, nobody, I mean, people should wear whatever they want without any kind of criticism. She was 17. That's the only criticism I have. She was a child. And she looked like a child. That's the thing. This was a child. And yet they acted like, whatever, do what you want.
Yeah, oh yeah, they completely just let her. Well, she ruled the home. And actually,
Yeah.
one last aside before we get uh I don't know, we're going to a lighter case after this since we do our two, but um shoot. All right, well it's gone, so I guess it wasn't that important. Uh
You ever hear that when you go to say something and then you forget and then somebody else goes, oh, it must have been a lie? I hated it when people would say that like it wasn't a lie. I literally just forgot what I was saying.
well,
I wasn't lying.
I must be lying up a storm because I get off track all the time.
Forget it.
I think it's more that I can't tell a sequence story. I'm all very non sequitur. Like, okay, I've just gone off on a tangent in a different way, and now I can't remember what was the original thought that I had that set off the. But
Well, this one was hard to keep, on a timeline because you have her background, you have what's going on with her in her life, then you've got the actual accident, and then you've got the court situation, then you've got her in prison, but at the same time, you've also got how all the parents dealt with it and are dealing with it. So it really wasn't an easy timeline. So I'll give you a little little excuse.
um, this one was really hard to tell in a because you have the accident, but then you have all the stuff that just like and all of what people were talking about, and I mean, and again, it's just way too convenient that she forgot everything, forgot why they left.
Well, she's threatened to kill him so many times. He had it on recording. She was always threatening to kill him. And then when he had called his mom saying, I need help, I need to get out of this car, she's crazy, she's going to kill us both. And his mother heard her saying something about how I'm going to kill us both.
But they were trying to say, her parents are trying to say, because they have texts that show that after they pulled over, she texted Dom's mom and said he was the one who did it. And they're like, this was never shown in court. It was really Dom who was the problem in that incident. Are you serious? You don't think that she wasn't just covering up her own, she was covering up her tracks.
Trying to blame this dead young man that she killed.
Right. And this was the one where they actually sent out the friend to try to get him. Was that when he was calling his mother saying she's going to crash the car. This was that incident, and she definitely was covering her tracks. She was trying to the mother make herself look like the sweet innocent and it could
Mm-hmm.
be me. And I don't her mother had his mother had her number
And
forever.
she was trying to gaslight everybody.
She was 100%. 100%. All right, well, if that comes back to me, I'll put it in the comments if I can think of what the heck I was gonna say. Um, all right, we want to hear all your thoughts on this case, the crash.
Do you think it was an accident? How would you have reacted if one of your kids was acting out like this? What would you have done?
Yep, would you had the GenHex response? Which actually, I hate to say this, I'm gonna hang my head in shame. I think their action is the GenHex response. I think that I'm gonna go on a little soapbox before we leave because I'm guilty of it. I know I am. I think because of how we were parented, and it was very much like you're on your own, don't tell me your problems, you don't have any stress or upset, walk it off. That then came us who were going to listen to everything our kids said because we had not been listened to, overindulged, helicopter parents. And I think we messed up in a different way because I can honestly say, there are moments where I'm like, oh, I way overindulged my daughter because I was thinking, well, she's having a mental health crisis or she's having stress or anxiety, and I need to be more sympathetic. When in some regards, there's got to be a happy medium. Get them help, but then hold them responsible because that doesn't get to be your crutch of. Whereas I don't think they even tried to get her help.
Now, see, it's kind of weird. I get what you're saying for sure because we became enablers to our kids because we wanted to give them everything we didn't have. Now, my first child, my daughter, who's 34, I believe, this year. I was 22. I had just turned 22 when she was born. I was a very strict parent. I was also working full time. I was tired. I was basically the only one doing anything. And anytime I tried to, you know, keep some strict rules, I had in laws, her grandparents, that would just let her do anything she wanted. So I had no control over that situation because they babysat while I was at work. So it was kind of like I tried to be stricter, not like my parents, but the one thing I did do was spoil her by giving her too much material things because I grew up very poor. So I gave her everything, but
Mhm.
I tried to make her a good person. Did not work. Ended up being an entitled freaking brat. I don't take credit for that because I tried really hard. The grandparents still have control, bought her a house, bought her cars, everything. So I wash my hands of that. Now, my youngest, I would probably bury a body for that kid. I probably would. That kid, I would probably I
Yeah.
would be right there with a shovel. I have to admit, I would. Now, I wouldn't let him to be going out and doing stuff that's going to hurt him if I was aware of it. I would try to get, like he's autistic, so he's had lots of therapy and stuff like that. But I would be right there if something, like that happened. And I'd be like, okay,
Well, I mean,
this is
I
what
would
we're gonna do.
I've had a conversation with Emily that I feel like I had some of those mother qualities that you want to believe that your kid is telling you the truth, and I probably fought some fights now that Emily's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that because I wasn't giving you the full like, but the difference is I'm talking to this now, and she can actually see where she was manipulating me, and she sees it's a problem and that she wasn't necessarily doing very likable things. And also, she's like, but the one thing I know is if I had killed somebody and I was in prison, you would be like, well, this is kind of what happens when you, even if she's like, even if you thought that I had had like a mental break, okay, but you needed help. You didn't get that help. You were still saying nothing's wrong, or you were using drugs or whatever. She's like, you would not have had my back. Like, you would not be, you'd be there talking to me. She's like, you would absolutely call me in prison. She's like, you wouldn't be telling me, like, you're famous in England. And she'd be like, she was like, you'd be like, oh God, there's another article saying what a horrible human being
I'm
you
afraid when it comes to August, I would probably be like, okay, this is how we're going to break you out. Because that is that kid, I would do that. My daughter, she's on her own. Spoiled because I know it. I think it's because I know if my kid did something, if August did something, it would have been a situation because he is a good person. It wouldn't have been on purpose. It would have been a real accident. It would have been something that he was terrified of that happened. So with my daughter, she would have done it on purpose because she's entitled. She's on her own. With him, it would have been an accident. So I would make sure to, you know, I'd break him out. We'd be on the run.
So there you go. What do you think your parenting would have been? What do you think your parents' parenting would have been since we're putting the Gen X? I can definitely tell you my parents would have been like, oh, they
Mine
would.
would have been just like washing their hands. There goes another one of our kids. Luckily, we got four.
I'm gonna be honest, it's so hard for me to imagine doing this with my parents. Like that, I don't know. I think my mom would have talked to me. I think my dad might have washed his hands of me. I think my dad would have been so disgusted he couldn't talk to me. I think my mom would have tried to stand by me. I do know there would be no commissary. They would be like, "You're fine. You can live on the food they serve you, and you can go without." I mean, she's getting makeup. She's getting. So anyway, yes, let us know. Let us know what you think what you would do and what your parents. I think that's a really interesting because again, I don't think this would have happened quite the same way in the 70s and 80s.
Now, my dad would have, because my dad's been in jail quite a bit throughout my childhood. My dad would have been giving me tips and pointers and try to pass me a $5 when he could. Maybe call up a few friends to try to keep me safe and be like, you need to be on your best behavior so you can get out of here. I can't do anything else. My mother would have just pretended like I didn't exist. So, but
Right.
it wouldn't have got to that point anyways because they would have just kicked me out of the house. She would have kicked me out of the house.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think my parents, I don't think I would be talked about at family reunions in a positive light, or at all, probably.
I don't think I am now, and I've never been to jail, so I don't care.
All right, so this is the case of Mackenzie Shirilla and the crash. Subscribe, like, hit the notification
Ding, 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 ding.
button. Please share, tell everyone you can think of that they might want to check this out, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, when we're going to talk about
Clown.
clowns, creepy clowns.
And actually, that is clown. This upcoming episode was inspired by a email from Deanna. So, Deanna, make sure you're here next week because we are going to read your submission, and then we're going to talk about crazy the clown hysteria. We all know there was clown hysteria, or most of us probably know in like 2016,
Yep.
but no, the first clown hysteria was in 1981. So come back and check out because apparently clowns are Gen X too. So there you go. All right, everybody have a great night, and we will see you next week.
Bye.